All right, today we're going to talk about a book that basically looked at our official history, crumpled it up, and threw it in the trash. It suggested a whole new story for humanity, one that started way out there in the stars. We've always asked ourselves the big questions, right? Who are we? Where do we come from? And for a long time, the answers we got from science and history felt, well, kind of settled. A nice, neat story of our origins. But then, right around the middle of the 20th century, a bunch of thinkers started looking around at ancient ruins, at old myths, at the night sky. And they asked that exact question. What if that neat little story is totally wrong? They came up with a much weirder and way more cosmic alternative. So let's dive into this counter-narrative. It's an idea that grabbed the attention of millions because it gave them a completely new way to see our ancient past. And right at the center of this whole movement was this super imaginative French author. He was really one of the main architects of this new way of thinking. His name? Robert Charroux. Now, Charroux wasn't just some random writer. He was like a master weaver. He'd pull these threads from archaeology, from ancient myths, from some pretty wild scientific speculation, and he'd weave them all together into this incredible new story about humanity. And, he wasn't just working in a vacuum. His ideas were part of this huge cultural wave happening during the space race. You had books like Morning of the Magicians that got people interested in these mysteries. And yeah, Erich von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods became this massive global hit. But Charroux was right there, a real pioneer pushing this movement forward. Okay, so what was the big explosive idea in his 1974 book, Masters of the World? What did he actually say that challenged everything we thought we knew? It all really boils down to a few core and honestly world-shattering ideas. The gist is this. We were visited by aliens, we used to be way more advanced than we are now, and the real story has been kept secret by a select few. So for example, he'd look at these incredible ancient sites, right? Like the huge Nazca lines in Peru. And where most people saw art or rituals from primitive tribes, he saw something else entirely. He saw landing strips for cosmic visitors. He saw evidence that some extraterrestrial intelligence didn't just visit, but actually gave human civilization a jumpstart. Okay, now this next part is really wild, because it completely flips the whole idea of progress on its head. See, we're taught to think of human history as this steady climb, right? From caves to skyscrapers. Charroux said, nope. He argued we've actually been falling from a great height. And this chart really lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the conventional view, a straight line of progress, evolution. But Charroux's view, it's a story of devolution. He imagined this lost golden age, a time when humanity was just better, more advanced, both technologically and spiritually. And ever since then, we've been on a long, slow decline. So you gotta ask, right? If we were so great, where did all that knowledge go? Well, according to Charroux, it wasn't totally lost. This is where the masters of the world come in. In his view, these masters were both the original space visitors and a secret line of human initiates who've been protecting this true hidden history for centuries. Which leads to a pretty big question. How on earth did these incredible, kind of unbelievable ideas catch on so well? Why were so many people back then ready to listen? Let's get into that. It was really a perfect storm of culture and timing. Think about it. The post-war world was questioning all the old authorities. At the same time, the space age had everyone looking up at the stars, so the idea of alien contact suddenly didn't seem so far-fetched. Charroux's work offered this grand, epic adventure story, and for a lot of people, that was way more appealing than what they saw as the cold, boring, materialistic version of history. Okay, but that was decades ago. You might be thinking, do these wild ideas have any relevance today, in our world of gene editing and the James Webb Telescope? Well, the answer is, surprisingly, yeah. See, back when Charroux was writing, the very idea of a super advanced society existing deep in our prehistory was, well, it was pure fantasy. The experts all agreed. Civilization started with farming, full stop. And then we found Göbekli Tepe. This mind-blowing temple complex in Turkey is over 11,000 years old. It was built by hunter-gatherers thousands of years before we thought anything like it was possible. It literally forced archaeologists to rip up the old timelines and start over, which sounds an awful lot like Charroux's impossible idea, doesn't it? And just look at today. We're sending rovers to Mars. We're finding thousands of planets orbiting other stars. The central question in all of Charrouz's work, are we alone, has gone from being a fringe sci-fi idea to a serious question that top scientists are trying to answer. So in the end, whether you think Charroux was a prophet or just a fantastic storyteller, he leaves us with this really provocative challenge. He's pushing us to keep an open mind, to wonder if our real story, our origins and our destiny, is way bigger, way stranger, and way more cosmic than we've ever dared to believe. Makes you think, doesn't it?